I couldn't be more proud of our organization and the cars they gave us, the way all of the shops work together and give us great race cars, and then that same teamwork worked out on the racetrack. And didn't really get around Kyle too much, but with Casey and Jeff and myself, I think we really took care of one another out there and kept one another from falling too far back in the draft. So it's just great to have the company all pulling in the same direction, and I couldn't be more proud of those guys, and also real happy for Jeff and being able to take possession of 6th on the all-time win list is pretty special for him, I'm sure. That's terrible. They're going to hurt somebody. I just can't believe that people that love this sport would take the chance to hurt a kid, hurt another person. I'm sure there are cans that didn't make it to the track that landed in the stands, and a full beer can hitting somebody in the back of the head. On one level, that's disrespectful, and the other side of it, throwing them at the race cars and damaging our race cars, and that's not a way to show that you support our sport and our racing. I'm just disappointed to see that, and it's getting worse and worse every week. Yeah, first of all, we need to figure out why I was never told he was pitting, and I'm not sure why I couldn't see Casey waving me off. It's real tough to see through the back windows of the vehicles, but I literally had no idea he was pitting, and it was just a major communication error. I guess the 24 knew, but it never made it to me. And when he came off turn 4 and hit the brakes to slow down, I just had no clue what was going on, and I was all over him and spun him out. I didn't. There were a few that made it over this trip, and I could see in the mirror that there were a lot more behind, so I'm not sure if they're upset the race finished under caution or if it was at Jeff, because as you pointed out, they didn't throw him at Jeff. It was really for the whole field, and I heard that the officials had missiles coming in on him down there checking the spoiler. And I mean, it's just, I don't see what would possess somebody to throw a full beer can out on the racetrack or at people or at race cars. So I really don't know the logic behind it, and I just hope it goes away. I think everybody was wondering when the big group was going to get down on the bottom of the racetrack and start fighting for the win. And Tony Stewart and myself and Jeff were doing some finger pointing under caution, trying not to talk on the radio. And I felt, that Tony, it's tough to tell because you make a move, the wrong move, they're not going to follow you. But it looked like there was enough excitement in the hand gestures that everybody was itching to make a move, and I waited a lap or two after the restart, got a good run, went to the bottom, and a large, fair amount came with me, and we got the inside groove marching. And unfortunately, I stayed to the bottom, and something developed behind me where Jeff got into the middle, and Jeff was able to get by me, and then I got up into the middle, a few cars behind him, and then the middle worked out with him in the lead in front of the 26, and then I was in third at the end. I guess that's it. There's so much that goes on. I'm trying to remember through it all, but I think that's kind of how it developed. Well, to gain that many spots at the end, it gives you the sensation of it being easy, but it's only because of circumstances. There was so many times today where I was deep in the pack and would try to make moves, but the right holes didn't develop and the right push, and the scenario wasn't there to advance myself. And at the end of this race, every move I made ended up being a good one. And I think Jeff could probably say something similar to that, that nothing really broke his momentum. He was able to just keep weaving through there and get to the front. I know the 20 was with us, and something happened that bottled up the 20, and he was 8th or 9th on that last restart. I don't think that played into Jeff's mind, but I think that inside the garage area, people have talked to Jeff or thought Jeff would be the guy to have the voice for the drivers, and I wasn't around to see what effect Earnhardt had. And I know that Jeff doesn't want to be Dale. He wants to be himself and do things his own way, and I know he doesn't want to be in this position to be the voice of the drivers, but he almost has this responsibility that's developing for him, and he has the right approach in how to handle NASCAR and how to handle the drivers and how to present things in the right way. I feel if many other drivers would have spoken up today and said, what Jeff did in the drivers' meeting, it would have come off wrong. People would have laughed. Just thought it wouldn't have come off the same way. But Jeff is at that spot in his career, and he's so well spoken, and comes from a fair place when he's speaking about those things that people are listening. And I think that role's developing for him, whether he wants it or not. Yeah, that, and then also tearing up our race cars. I mean, those full beer cans just destroy all the hard work that's gone into our race cars. And I think for both of those reasons, he didn't want to instigate them, and then at the same time just wanted to keep his race car clean. It was in pretty good shape. That's a huge number. If you look back at the years that Jeff had, 13 wins and 10 and 8, it is so tough to do that today. We all said, I'm sure everybody said that from Petty to the next, driver that came in and had control of things and on and on. So I think it's going to be very difficult. I don't want to say it's impossible. I like to set my goals high, and I'd love to, have more championships and more race wins than Jeff. I'm shocked that I have the 26 that I do, but 50 more or 51 more, and that's a lot. So we'll just have to see. I think Jeff is doing a great job, and the thing that I couldn't be more proud of Jeff for is the fact that he's been able to work through different crew chiefs, through different types of cars, through different eras of racing and everything that comes with it, and he's still winning on all disciplines of racetracks. And I think that says a lot for himself and his ability to lead his team. And he's certainly been a big help to myself in learning how to come into the sport and do things the right way.
I thought it was a less typical Talladega, with the fact that we had as many strong cars as we did at the end of the race to run for the win, and so it made it difficult to pass. But yet there was still the 3-4 wide action that all the fans pay their money for. So for us, just a nice solid run through the pack. We ran top 10 most of the day. We were on a nice sequence of pits with 2 tires here, 4 tires there, some fuel here, and so everything was what we thought we needed. And at one point we didn't top off on fuel, and so that meant for us we would have had to pit a little early. And usually when the 2-car pits, the yellow comes out. So we ended up surviving that because we were committed to pit road on a certain lap, and the 25 ended up getting wrecked into the inside fence. That was when we were pitting. Normally we would have pitted, and then that would have happened the lap afterwards. So it was a great blessing for us to be able to stay out on the track. We lost all of our track position at that time, and so we were stuck back 25th, 30th, 35th. Normally you're not that far back at a plate race with that few of laps to go. So I thought the Miller Lite team handled it well with making adjustments at that point, just because we were stuck in traffic. And then we just kept picking off 1 car at a time, it seemed like. And then I saw a big hole that I could jump through, and by the time I got to that hole, it was a little smaller than I anticipated, and it almost squirted us into the inside fence. But I was able to hang on. That kept my foot in it, kept that momentum, and we passed about 15 cars in 1 lap. And I thought that was key for us getting back into the top 10. And then eventually we worked our way right up into the top 5. So nice solid day. Just keep thinking we're knocking on the door to win one of these restrictor plate races, but we can't expect to win. We just still have to continue to work hard. Well, we had a race here last fall with new pavement, and I think it proved again today that the track is a bit more generous, and the cars are able to stick a little bit better. So I think that played dividends into that many quality cars at the end of the race, as well as Mike Helton letting everybody know that this is our second restrictor plate race of the year, and everybody needs to understand that bump drafting is a phenomenon that we need to control our own selves as a driver. I've been working on my fan base for years, so if I don't have any, I probably won't have any after this comment, but it's very disappointing to see race fans throw Miller Lite beer cans all over the racetrack. Unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. I think NASCAR should be pleased with the drivers' attitudes, demeanors, and the way they handled themselves on the track. To see that many quality cars at the end of the race, that's something we haven't seen at Talladega in years. So I believe everybody did what they needed to for the first group of pit stop sequences, and then once you get towards the end, it's interesting how track position at a restrictor plate race becomes that important. It was tough. I was hoping that I could be on offense instead of defense at the end. The 38 didn't get the restart that I hoped he would get. That was the guy behind me, and once I saw that I distanced the 38, I was going to go with the guy in front of me, because that's where it makes sense if you want to gain positions. And at the same time, he and the whole field was thinking that the 26 was low on fuel. When was he going to starve himself for fuel and stack up the whole field? So the 48 went low. I knew that was the place to go, and we advanced ourselves 1 more position. The top groove has been something that's developed over the last few races here, and it bottles everybody up. And so you hope that a group of cars and teammates, such as the Hendrick cars, team up and open up that bottom lane, because I know they're not satisfied with running 10th to 15th. So it helps us guys that were trapped in the back gain positions. Well, I enjoy the restrictor plate races now. When I was a rookie, it was very difficult to understand which lane to be in and which veteran to follow, and when you get kicked out of line, how are you supposed to get back in line? And so over the years, you just learn every time that you make a mistake, and it's helped having the defensive frame of mind, just to follow the guy in front of me is the motto. But we're getting closer. We're getting stronger at building Penske super speedway cars, more horsepower, and before long we'll have everything that we need, including a little bit of luck, and we might drive into victory lane at one of these plate tracks. Well, I mean, you guys have blinders on all the time, so it's up to us to help explain what we feel has been our problem this year. And if we had a little bit of lady luck, I think that we could have had 3 top 5s in a row, maybe even a win at Texas. And so over time, things even out, and that's the model that we're taking. As we feel like we're making better race cars, we're making better decisions out on the racetrack, and eventually we'll be a contender. It hurts that we're not up there every week. Fighting it out with guys like Jimmie Johnson, and Gordon's real strong right now each week, but we're making stride and getting closer and closer.